Hey, horror fans. Thanks for joining me for this review of He Never Died. With the usual beginning, cast and crew is down below, along with the plot, which I'm going to read. Jack, a social outcast, is thrust out of his comfort zone when the outside world bangs on his door and he can't contain his violent past. That's a little bit of a simple description here, but I'm going to go into it in more detail. And I know this is a 2015 film, but if you've been following my reviews, and you'll know that I recently did a review for She Never Died. So I'm a little bit backwards here. I kind of stumbled onto that one first. And if you caught that review, or even if you haven't, I did like that movie. And I'll keep that link down below as well. But I did like that movie, and so I did a little bit poking around because I liked it so much. And there I found that there is He Never Died. I'm still not 100% sold whether these are direct sequels to each other. It almost seems like they're indirect sequels, or since He Never Died is he, and they figured they would do one for she, and based on its success. So it is within the same universe, same realm of things. Before I go any further, I guess this is a spoiler alert. I'm going to talk about both movies. And so this is a spoiler alert for both of them, because I really want to talk about what happens at the end of He Never Dies and compare that with what happens in She Never Dies. So if you haven't seen either of those movies, or you saw one and not the other, this is a spoiler alert for both of them, because I'm going to talk freely about both. But first, let me stick to He Never Died. And so here's a story. Sets off with a peculiar guy, Jack here, and there's obviously something different about him. He's very honest when spoken to. He says things kind of bluntly. Not very enthusiastic about doing much. He just kind of sits there and does his thing. And kind of like the description says, he's just kind of going along with life until life starts poking the bear here, and Jack is the bear. He has a so-called daughter that comes into his life here, and kind of pokes around, and I guess they kind of use her in a way to get him to open up, maybe be a little bit more outgoing. He's still not tremendously, but kind of uses her to ask questions of him, and kind of therefore let the audience slowly discover who he is, because there's obviously something different about him. And and as you'll see as he goes through the movie, he can't die. He's not gonna die. People hit him and whatever, take shots at him, stab him, whatever. Nothing is really affecting him. He's not going to shy away from a fight because he knows he can't really get hurt. He's not going to die or whatever. There's another unique fact about him is that he is part cannibal. He does like eating people. But it's not one of these movies where he's like a monster or anything like that. He's not actively just seeking out people just to eat them as a food source and so forth. He's kind of sticking to eating bad people, either people who are just bad in the world or people who have crossed him. There is one scene where he kind of goes out in search of somebody bad. He's hoping somebody bad comes across him because he wants to eat, and he kind of has a hard time. He thinks he found the right target, but then they turn out being nice or doing the right thing. So that's a little bit of an interesting series, a small scene in the movie there, where he goes through that. And and again, I mentioned a couple of these things because of the way She Never Died, how they kind of unravel who she is and show what she does. But again, here, you also have in here where he sits down at a diner and he spends. There are several scenes of him in this diner, and some with his daughter, and also a waitress who in a way flirts with him and so forth. There's back and forth, maybe a little help from the daughter there, trying to get them to relate, get together, or so forth. So she kind of gets intertwined here as well. But all in all, it's about Jack, and you can see that he's different and so forth. And there's something else going on in town here where I guess there are some guys who are trying to be bad guys. Probably not the best mob group or gangsters or whatever you want to call them around. There's even one that's a little bit funny, and maybe they poke up fun at kidnapping or whatever because he's kind of very blunt and kind of just skips to the point. So it's a funny phone call that he gives. So yes, Jack's daughter ultimately ends up being kidnapped here, and he does take his sweet ass time going and trying to save her. It's not, most movies you see, oh, my daughter's kidnapped, and then the parents freak out, and bam, they're off. They're either calling the cops or they're off, trying to figure out what happened here. He takes his sweet time here, and he does revisit another character, and who he thinks is involved, but then kind of goes away, and then ends up coming back. So again, here is. He's taking his time here. He's in no rush to solve this, even though he pretty much knows who's behind it. This sets off a series of a scene or two where he has to kill some people, fighting with some people. So those scenes are fun. Sometimes it's fun where somebody has such an advantage over other people. Because he can basically do whatever he wants to them. Because he's got some strength to him as well. It's not only that he can take a stab or take a shot or whatever. I'll leave it a little bit to the people who haven't seen this movie. Of what happens when he gets shot. That's some good, little bit different there, but some good scenes there as well. So there's blood and I don't know about a bunch of guts, but there's some blood in this movie, and some fighting and so forth. Maybe a little bit of gore, if you want to call it. So that's all good stuff there. I think, I don't know, maybe it's because maybe because I watched the other one first and then this one, or I don't know what it is. For She Never Died, I kind of jumped into her character a little bit faster. Like, I was all in on what was happening with her. Maybe it's just the way they set up the two stories. But I think by the end of He Never Died, I was all in on him as well. It just took me a little bit longer to really jump aboard what he was doing there. But yeah, with She Never Died, it didn't take long to be like, damn, what is this girl doing, and how is she doing this, and why is she that way? And I guess one of the biggest things that both of those movies have, and one of the reasons why I like them, besides the fact that they don't die and they can be shot and stabbed and all that. I mean, that's all the horror stuff, and that's all fun, and I like all that. You guys know that I like all that. But one of the things that I also liked is the mystery of what the hell is going on here. Why both of those characters ended up that way, and why they can be shot, why they can be stabbed and not die, and also why are they cannibals? Why are they eating? But why also are they have this human approach to them, where they're just not out there killing everybody or whatever. They're out there in a way almost like a superhero, because they're only interested in killing the bad people or eating the bad people, or getting involved with helping people. They're not, in both of the stories, it's not like, they're sitting there and doing their own crime detective case. They both kind of get pulled into things in order to help people. They obviously are in a neighborhood or whatever where there is crime and where there is bad guys, so that also helps. But ultimately, what is a good thing about both those movies is as you're watching them, you're taking in the clues and wanting to ultimately know what the hell is going on here. In He Never Died, I think they're pretty blunt and clear with what's happening here. Maybe leave one or two things to the imagination here, and maybe they just were very blunt and clear about it because maybe they never expected there to be a sequel or another movie or so forth. But basically, he reveals himself as Cain, and this is where we get the religious part of the story. And as the movie goes, he's seeing this figure following him. He at one point this figure's in the diner, and he asks his daughter if she can see him, and she says yes. But you kind of have a feeling there that this character has something to do with why he's the way he is, but who is the character? And you see that in She Never Died. There's a person in the distance that she sometimes looks at, and you're like wondering, well, who the hell is that? But again, you think that person has something to do with why she is the way she is. And so at the end of He Never Dies, he explains it to the waitress in one of the scenes, and he says he is Cain. He says he's lived a really long time and so forth. So he kind of fills you in. So that was interesting. I'm not the biggest religious buff, so I do know who Cain is, but it at least filled my expectation of, okay, now they've given me a reason to wonder, and then of course immediately my thought is, okay, well, how in relation did that happen and She Never Died? Because they don't make it so obvious in the end. This one clearly cuts and says, he's Cain and so forth. And he even then has a direct confrontation with this person who I take as the devil. I mean, at first I'm like, okay, is that God or is that the devil? They kind of make you go back and forth. But I think if I cut the conversation correctly, I don't believe that was supposed to be God or a representation of God. I would say it was more of either just another angel or maybe the devil himself, especially with the way that scene later finishes. In She Never Died, they do kind of involve this other character towards the end, but I didn't quite catch it directly. Maybe it was said and maybe I missed it, but I did get the thought that maybe there was some religious aspect to this, but not so clearly cut as the other one. Another kind of thought I was thinking was that, could Cain switch bodies, and is She Never Died just Cain in another body, and they just never mention it, or maybe that's assumed. There's not, that kind of rule kind of thing isn't exactly clear. They do show a picture of. She does have pictures there. The waitress does, and during their conversation, pictures of him from the past, and because he's saying how really ancient he is and how old he is, and it does look like him. I couldn't really quite tell if it looked like he was younger or not, and like, is he aging in this body, then this body kind of dies, and then he takes another body. So if it was just him when he was younger, or if it was, what is happening exactly here? Is he reincarnating into different people, or has he just been stuck in this body since, I guess, humans existed or so forth? I guess now we're getting really technical, but anyway, that's kind of the comparison, the way both those movies ended. Like I said, I saw She Never Died first, so I was definitely waiting as that movie came to the conclusion. Of course, there's a nice action-filled ending to that movie. Before you get to the final, wrap-up scene. But the main action part of the movie, that was all good and everything like that. But then I was dying to know like why is she the way she is, and that's another reason why I kind of did a little bit of digging and then found out that there's He Never Died. So regardless, I think both movies are excellent. I just whatever, I buy into their characters for whatever reason. Maybe it's probably just simple as them not being able to die, being able to be stabbed and shot and kind of carry on, and not they don't act like a total regular human. They're just almost robot in a way. But they're very blunt. If you ask them something, they're not going on. They don't sit there and they don't want to really have long conversations. They kind of want to be left alone. I think in both movies, if other characters didn't get involved with them, they basically just be there killing people and eating people, and of course the bad people. So I think both movies were really well done, and do a very good job of unraveling a little bit of the characters and leading up to the endings, and He Never Died, really explaining what's going on, and She Never Died, maybe keeping a little bit more of a secret. But I think now that I've seen He Never Died, obviously it's for sure having something to do with religion. So religion is a backdrop here as to why they are the way they are. Whether they're angels, devils, whatever you want to call it, especially with She Never Died. Again, He Never Died makes it clear who he is. She Never Died, maybe she's just another angel, or maybe she's a demon, or so forth. Again, unless I missed it, and I do want to kind of maybe dig a little bit further into that when I'm not done digging here. But, again, it's possible. Sometimes I miss things. Sometimes when I'm watching things, I'm working as well, so it's possible I missed something that happened at the end of the movie. But regardless, I like both movies. I believe I gave She Never Died 3.5 pools of blood. I think I'm going to give this one 3.5 pools of blood. Again, similar in theme, similar in ways they're done. Both were executed well. Maybe different reveals as to how much they revealed and so forth. But again, I like both the characters, even though it may have taken me a little bit longer for He Never Died. But I'm glad I saw both of them. And again, not really sure direct sequels or not. You could probably see either of these on standalone and be fine. So even though you have not seen those movies and you've watched this complete review, I've probably kind of blown it. But you were alerted. But I still think if you're in for a little bit of action, a little bit of blood and gut, again, not too much guts, but a little bit of blood and some action and so forth, I think it's a good watch regardless. So yeah, 3.5 pools of blood for this one, 3.5 pools of blood for the other one, and I will make sure that I have links to both these reviews on both the videos here. So with that, again, as usual, more reviews, and including written ones, at horosgoyreviews.blogspot.com. Subscribe to this channel for more video reviews if you just like the video reviews. And of course, you're welcome to comment down below. Whether you agree or disagree, not a problem. And social media will be down below as well. So if you see me posting about a movie, you can feel free to jump in and give me your thoughts there as well if you don't want to put it in the comments section. And I'm always up for talking horror on social media as well, so if you want to talk about even another movie, please, join me on social media, and we can talk about whatever there as well. So with that, he never died, she never died, but this review is over, and I will catch you on the next one, horror fans.